China's Galaxyspace made a challenging move against Elon Musk's Starlink. Welcome to the channel Technology Talk. This video will talk about how China's Galaxyspace serves as a challenge to Elon Musk's Starlink. Let's begin. On March 5, China's Long March 2C rocket, containing 7 satellites, took flight. 6 were built by Galaxyspace, which is like a private Chinese company, to build an experimental network, particularly for low Earth orbit, LEO, internet connectivity. Considering its motto, it seems like a direct competition to SpaceX's Starlink. This would be Beijing's 5th deployment of this year. However, the CASC, China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, targets more than 50 by 2022. Today's launch stated that China can establish a massive satellite internet constellation, including the potential to mass-produce satellites at low cost and operate in a network, said Chang Meng, co-founder of Galaxyspace. These 6 satellites were launched with the hope that it would establish an experimental network, with the firm's first ever satellite, which had been launched into orbit sometime about 2 years ago, and is planned to deliver seamless broadband communication services for even more than 30 minutes at a time. The 6 satellites are known as GS2, GSAP-01, O2, and O3, and GS2BP-01 and O2, respectively, and the experimental network is dubbed Mini-Spider Constellation. According to the business, each satellite weighs 190 kilos and can transmit data at a rate of 40 gigabits per second. Beijing Foursquare's technology, which is a satellite data analytic company, built the base data processing system. Galaxyspace versus SpaceX. Galaxyspace is a sizable telecommunications satellite manufacturer situated in Beijing. It was formed in 2016 to create a private fleet of 1,000 LEO satellites to compete with SpaceX's Starlink. Its Nantong factory can create 300 to 500 satellites every year, according to the business. The company's founder and CEOs, Xi Xiaofei, sometime in 2020, predicted that his low-cost broadband communication satellites would close the 2-year gap that was there between China and America's satellite large-scale production capability. However, Galaxyspace still has a lot of ground to make for it to come at par with Starlink, which has already launched 2,000 satellites and plans to launch a further 12,000. It will become the world's largest satellite internet constellation. Furthermore, Galaxyspace promotes itself by claiming to be the first ever constellation to bring 5G connectivity to users, with download rates of over 500 Mbps, as well as upload speeds of nothing less than 80 Mbps, even during poor weather. On the other hand, Starlink can only provide consumer rates of 110 Mbps. Nevertheless, even if the firm achieves its goals, it would be unable to match Starlink's ambitions for 12,000 LEO satellites. Galaxyspace's privatized constellation may be integrated into Chinese government aspirations for a national broadband constellation known as Guowang. Guowang would be a giant constellation of about 13,000 satellites that would be included and directed by a communications access point in Chongqing, as previously disclosed by the Eurasian Times. In September, China's spectrum allocation applications to the International Telecommunication Union (ITU) show designs for an LEO constellation of 12,992 satellites in the year before. These also have sub-constellations spanning altitude from 500 to 1,145 kilometers and inclinations spanning from 30 to 85 degrees. These will work in a variety of frequency ranges. 5G communication. China's State Administration of Science, Technology and Industry for National Defense, SASTIN, has called for the organized establishment of small satellites to provide surveillance over most of the Earth, as well as to intensify internet facilities in remote regions, with the intent of enhancing 5G and also terrestrial communications. Furthermore, Beijing can expand the reach of such services to include countries that are part of its massive Belt and Road Initiative, putting them in direct competition with SpaceX's Starlink. Satellite internet constellations could also help a nation's military services improve their C4 ISR capabilities. For instance, in the current Ukraine crisis, SpaceX's Starlink terminals have reinstated communications in regions of the country where Russian troops hacking had disrupted internet service. In the aftermath of Russia's invasion, Starlink has been the only non-Russian communications system that remained operational in some portions of Ukraine, asserts Elon Musk, who we all know is SpaceX's founder. Military analysts in China have indeed illustrated the military capabilities of satellite internet constellations, as well as the gap between the US and China, trying to persuade the government to maintain a record of other nations' LEO satellite internet advancement, which militaries around the world could use to gain a favorable position in times of war. Chinese analysts are also concerned about the lack of frequency bands as well as orbital spaces for satellites, which they believe are hastily obtained by other nations. A realistic LEO satellite internet technology might improve the overall performance and coverage of Chinese military operations in far-flung or remote areas and locations, especially for aircraft and perhaps even ships deploying beyond the first island chain. Similarly, the United States is planning to create a next-generation military communication system derived from satellite internet connectivity. The United States Space Development Agency granted a $1.8 billion agreement just last month for 126 optically linked space vehicles, SV, that are expected to launch in 2024. The said LEO S-Versus would be the first phase of the United States National Defense Space Architecture, NDSA. So this is all about how China's Galaxyspace made a challenging move against Elon Musk's Starlink. Comment what you think about it.